Looking for a place that does it all? Maldini's by the River serves mouth-watering breakfasts, pasta, pizzas, and more, plus amazing coffee and cocktails. They hit the spot every single time. You're planning a special event? Well, their private function room and versatile restaurant are the perfect place for any celebration. Good food, good friends, good times, Maldini's. Welcome back to Life in 5, the podcast where we dive into 5 key moments that have shaped some of the most interesting people in the sport, media and entertainment world. I'm MG, and today's guest is doing powerful work where it most matters, mental health. A former school teacher turned advocate, he founded Find Your Feet to help young people and their families talk openly, build resilience and reconnect. Through schools, sporting clubs and community groups, he started conversations that are literally saving lives. It brings me great pleasure to introduce Tommy Herschell. Tommy!
Thanks, mate. Thanks, MG. Mate,
I said it was supposed to be literally.
yeah, mate, what a hell of a word. The way my mind thinks is, does it need 2 L's? Has it got 2 L's? Mate, I'm so grateful to sit here, mate, and throw a bit of wind in your sails straight away, mate. Like I'm a Queenslander, I'll confess to that.
Wow.
But yeah, I know, yeah, straight out the door. But mate, always huge respect for you. Just honestly, on not only how you played the game, I love that, but more importantly, how you've always spoken about your family and how you've spoken about your wife, mate. And honestly, as a young fella, I've always looked up to that. So, mate,
Thanks,
to
Tommy.
sit here with you and have a yarn is, mate, I'm really, really appreciative.
Well, you're making big inroads because I seem to be hearing a lot more of you lately. And obviously I've got a good mate called Gus Wallen who has started Gotcha for Life. And 10 or 15 years ago, there wasn't really anything for mental health. Now we see so many things that are appearing because of maybe self-experience that you've gone through. How did you start Find Your Feet? What are the genesis of it, and what things are you doing exactly as we speak?
Yeah, mate, it's a big question. I'm a chalky by trade, as you said, so a school teacher. Mate, I saw the work that Gus was doing. I'm a Northern Beaches fella from Queensland originally, but saw the work that Gus was doing. The one thing I loved about what Gus did originally was just that vulnerability, talking about his mate, Angus, who passed. And I think what it did for me was it gave me this opportunity to have a look at my own stuff and have a look at where I could be doing better in my life, mate. I was 32 at the time when I Find Your Feet. Mate, I was a victim. It was everyone else's fault. I was a functioning alcoholic, if you can be that. And I was doing all the easy things. And I was really lucky, mate. I was working at 2UE at the time. I met a champion young fella called Bastion Margell. And
What were you doing at 2UE?
mate, I was doing the graveyard shift actually, and I was doing a little bit of work in sport with Gibbsy and Brandy, which was awesome. I was no good at it, but I absolutely loved it, mate. I'm a victim in sport too, like I just love it. But yeah, it was one night a lady was walking around the hallways selling chocolates. I asked her what was it about, and she told me this young fella Bass found out his story, mate. He'd been wrongly diagnosed. He'd been playing footy down at Camden Rams, got a cork in his leg. Went to the doctor. The doctor said, mate, it's a cork. You're right. Week after week after week. And his mum was like, hey, this cork should be gone. What's going on? They did some scans and, mate, they found out he had Ewing sarcoma, really aggressive form of cancer.
Oh.
And, mate, so I met him. I knew a bloke who'd had the same thing. I took him down to meet him, mate. We're down at Manly Beach. I saw the way this young bloke operated. Some girls walked past. I was saying, his mates were saying a few things to him. Bass stood out in front of them and us and said, hey, boys, we're better than that. Like, pull your heads. And I remember going, this bloke's incredible. Like, I wouldn't have done that at my age. I would have done the easy thing and jumped in.
Jumped in, yeah.
But, mate, it was the day that he passed, the story that I always tell. And 4 days after his 16th birthday, his mum said, Tommy, I wanted to tell you Bass has just passed, but this is the day that we went in this morning and I knew that it was over and he wanted his sisters to come in to say goodbye to them and he's a man of faith, Bass. He said, I'm going on this journey and I will see you again. And just again, Bass being Bass, thinking of others and making others feel safe. And then he said, I want to touch the earth with my feet one more time. And she stood him up and she said he looked at her and Bass had always had these words of, Mum, tell my mates to love life and don't waste it. And he passed soon after that. And when she rang me and told me that story, mate, I'd already had 5, 6, maybe 7 beers. I was whinging about mess in the house, about the noise my beautiful little kids were running around. I was whinging about them, and I just remember thinking, I'm not loving life. I'm wasting it, not because I've had some kind of traumatic upbringing, but because I'm just being a victim, and I'm not stepping up and owning my stuff. And Bass,
When you say victim, kind of describe that.
yeah, like a victim, sitting in my stuff.
Not doing anything about it.
Yeah, not doing anything about it. My oldie split when I was young. Dad moved a long way away. I was hurt. I was angry. And, mate, that hurt and that anger, it becomes easy, because you get to drink heavily. You get to be angry. You get to do all those behaviours that are bloody easy. But what a survivor does is instead of doing what I used to do, which is getting home at 2 a.m. after 22 schooners, that's a victim. A survivor gets up at 2 a.m. and runs 22 Ks. And then he's able to go and have a few beers with their mates late in the afternoon.
That's it.
And so that's where I sort of went to. And Bass gave me an opportunity, mate, to find my feet. To stop and go, right, where I'm at with my life and what am I going to do? And so, mate, that's what I do now, run around the country doing that, mate. We give people a platform to tell their story and listen to others because not everyone wants to get up and talk, but we've got to get better at listening as well. The skills to own our behaviours and the tools to then empathise with others, and then the skills to be able to leave a workshop and no longer walk past that mate and go, shit, I don't know what's going on, so I'll stay out of it. The skills to go, wait, like my great mate Bing always does, Neil Pringle, oi, knucklehead, what's going on with you? I'm bloody worried about you. Let's go and have a beer and a yarn and, let's check in on each other. So, mate, yeah, Find Your Feet was born out of Bass and mate, that story's probably...
So how long ago was that now?
Mate, that was Bass passed around 10 years ago now. Yeah.
And was it from the cork or he'd had cancer in his leg?
No, he had cancer in his hip.
But the cork...
The cork was what got him to the doctor, yeah, and then...
a bit like Adam Ritson with the tumour.
Yeah, yeah.
When he got knocked out, then they found he had a brain tumour in his head. So it's rugby, yeah.
Well, amazing young fella, mate. And I've gone on now down to Camden Rams and we run workshops down there every year. It's mate,
fantastic.
It's an honour to be able to go around the country in his legacy and spread that message of and it's in the language you and I'd use. Like you can be down the pub in a Find Your Feet workshop and I put on a few light beers and blokes feel comfortable and go, shit, how you going, mate? You look like shit. I love you.
Yep.
What's going on?
Yeah.
That's
how we talk.
So I'm very lucky, mate. Very lucky.
Well, Tommy, usually we have our family as our last photo in Life in 5, but for your first photo, you've got your family in your first photo. There's one on the left here with the four of you and sitting somewhere exotic.
Yeah.
And the one on the right is your two beautiful babies. Tell us exactly why these photos mean so much to Tommy Herschell.
Yeah, mate. I warned you before that they're two really important photos because, and I wish that my wife was in the one with my two kids there because when my kids were that age, I wasn't the dad that I should have been. I was like I said, I was very selfish. It was all about me. My old man was very absent, so I was very absent for the early part of their lives. Mm-hmm. And when I look at them, like when I look at my little girl, like she's just a ripper. She's a champion, She's a knockabout. You could give her $5 and push her out the door, and she'd come back in 5 years' time with a bloody photo album full of memories and say, "How you going, Dad? I had a ripper of a time." And
how old are your kids here on the right there?
The worm, Alf, I'd say he'd be 3 or 4 there.
Yep.
And Betty's 2 and a bit years older.
So Alf and Betty.
Yeah, Alf and Betty.
Straight out of Home and Away.
Yeah. Exactly, mate. And then the photo on the left, is us. This year we took a trip to Indonesia, a place called Labuan Bajo. Incredible place. And that's a bit of a mock-up. We sort of did a bit of a boy band photo, taking the piss a bit. But it meant a lot to me, that photo, because, I probably have only been the man I've needed to be for the last 5 years. I'm not going to bullshit you, MG, and say that I'm some cured man or a bloke whisperer or any of that sort of stuff. I'm still finding my feet and on my journey. And that photo, I guess, is just a beautiful reflection of where we're at now and where we're able to be. My little boy gets to see a dad who has conversations with his mum, who's, that's healthy and strong, and my little girl gets to see how a man should operate, mate. There's times where I still fall over and lose my feet.
Yeah, we do.
Yell and scream, but I've got the ability now to sort of own my behaviour and own my stuff. But yeah, I was only today down the beach and I saw a little champion that looked like Betty, and I remember just looking at him and thinking, geez, like, for a long time there, I was stuffed up. But isn't it awesome that I found my feet now, and I'm not going to do it right into their lives, and I really look forward to every day.
Yeah, you
being
can tell.
their dad,
So is that how you come up with find your feet? Was that your idea?
Yeah, mate. It was my idea. I didn't even know how the words sort of came to me on "find your feet," mate. I've always loved the saying. Gus Gould, we were just talking about him before. I heard him say in commentary one time, Parramatta can go on and win this game. They just need to find their feet. And when he said it, he then said, they need to find their discipline, their structure, and their systems. And when I think about the words "find your feet," and I thought about myself, I didn't have any of that. I didn't have discipline.
That's number one, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any systems in my life. It was just fall over whatever was in front of me. And I didn't have any structure. I was just falling from this to that. And the minute I put all those into my life, mate, everything changed.
Yeah, I bet.
And this, which is your everything, your family it's the greatest achievement you've got. The minute I've implemented that, it's gotten better.
That's your why.
Yeah, mate, exactly. Yeah, it's why I get out of the feathers every day.
That's your why, brother.
Yeah.
Well, photo number 2, mate, is a bit of an eclectic one because you sent me 48 photos last week and you said, mate, look, I've got that many photos that I don't want to leave any out. I said, okay, I'm going to give you a 2, A, B, and C. I might give you a 3B and a 3D. Never before has this happened on Life in 5, but you've got
55.
You've got some special people in these photos. So the first photo on the left-hand side of us looking at the camera, tell us about that and go left to right as we go across and let us know what each photo means to Tommy Herschell.
So the one over here with all the boys, mate. Yeah, look, that's a trip I did this year out to Cobar. In the photos, my mate Nicky Kosef, who
know him well,
one of the most beautiful humans on earth,
champion bloke.
Neil Pringle, my brother Mick, and my stepdad Kenny, or the fat teenager as we call him, because he's 78, mate, and he
going on
treats
16
every day like it's Friday. And then one of the boys, mate, Smokey, who I became good mates with, and they call him Smokey for a reason.
Because he's on the durries, or
yeah, he's on the burners, and he had a fat time, old Smokey. But mate, the reason that photo is really special, Nick Kosef, as we mentioned, as we all know, one of the great footballers.
Yeah.
But if you know Nick Kosef as well, he's just one of the most beautiful, softest, open-minded, incredible men that I've ever had in my life. And I'll proudly say that, mate. I did a workshop with his young bloke, and when I met his young bloke, his young bloke's this incredible, open-minded, knowledgeable, smart human as well. And the way that Nick talks about his kids, again, the way that I admire you, mate, for what you do is something that I really, really love about the man. And just when the first time I ever met Nick, I was at the Kira pub and I was a couple of schooners in, and I was with Bing, and Nick came over and introduced himself, and then he put his arm around me. He said, "Mate, tell me what makes you tick. What do you love about life?" And
Nick
I remember just thinking, bloody hell, like what a hero! I loved that he straight away interested, and that's who he is. But mate, we got Bing there, and he's in the end photo as well. But Bingo, mate, actually saved my life. I was always getting on the pen and ink, mate, on the piss, and I'd do an easy thing and ring Bing at the end of every night. My wife most of the time would hand me the phone, and she'd be crying, I'd be crying, and no one knows what it's like, no one cares. And mate, one night, I'll take a big risk, but one night I was banging my head against the wall underneath the house, and I was saying, I want to go home to Queensland. I was 35 at this time, and I was saying, I want my mum, and I was just saying it over and over and over. And I did what I always did and rang Bing, and Bing would always listen. But this night it was great what he did. He didn't listen. He just said down the... Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
He just said down the phone, he just said, mate, fuck off.
To you?
Yeah, he said, don't ring me like this anymore.
For those that don't know who Bing is Neil Pringle, who is a Balmain legend.
Yeah.
One of the best blokes of all time.
Exactly, mate.
I've done a few speaking gigs that he's been MC at.
Yeah.
Up on the Gold Coast.
He's one of the best.
He's just,
yeah,
beautiful man.
Yeah, and mate, he's a genuine mate. So he said down the phone, just before I was about to hang it up on him, he said, mate, I love you dearly. You're better than this. He said, your missus is better than this. But the thing that I love the most, he said, was he goes, I'm better than this.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't need this shit.
Yeah.
He was going through hell at the time of his own, and he said, mate, ring me tomorrow when you've got this shit sorted. He goes, I'm looking forward to talking to you then. And I remember just feeling this weight come off my shoulders, and mate, the next day I went to a counsellor, and I spoke to a counsellor. I said, hey, last night I was on the phone with me mate, but I kept saying over and over, I want my mum and I want to go home to Queensland. I'm 35, and I mastered it a bit. I said, bit odd, eh? And she goes, no, it's not odd at all. She's an older lady. She's from Narrabri. I'm a counsellor, Bold Bushy. She said, Tommy, when your parents split, you got a wound in you. You were 10. And she said, you've been walking around your whole life behaving like a wounded little boy your whole life. She said,
Feeling sorry for
job,
yourself.
is to teach you how to be a functioning adult. So, mate, Bing, he did that for me, which I'm grateful for. And then my stepdad and my brother-in-law, and my stepbrother, I just love dearly. You know, they've constantly been there for me and listening. And then the middle, you know, Mitchy Marsh.
Mitch Marsh. He's a lad.
Yeah, he's one of the boys, one of the great men, Marshy. Mate, I met him out in the surf. Beautiful. I met him out in the surf in Indonesia. Paddled out. He was at this wave we're at, and he said, mate, Haydos had told him, Matty Hayden had told him I was going to be there, and Haydos told me he was going to be there, so we knew it was happening. And he said, mate, tell me about Find Your Feet. And I said, mate, I started to tell him.
Wow, on the surf.
Yeah, in the surf. But about a minute into it, I said, mate, you know what, look, let's just cut it short. It's realistically, it's sort of prepare blokes for, like, things that you've just been through. And he goes, things that I've just been through. And I said, yeah, you know, like all the stuff, the trauma you've just been through with. And he goes, don't know what you're talking about, mate. And I was going, I said, mate, with losing your dad. And he goes, mate, that's Rod Marsh. That's not my old man. He goes, you don't watch much cricket, do you?
No.
I said, mate, I love my cricket because I can go there and drink a lot of piss and it's good fun. But he said...
He thought Rod Marsh.
Yeah. He looked at me and he just goes, mate, whatever I can do to help, let me help. Mate, a few weeks after that, we're back in Brisbane. He's in the Aussie camp in Brizzy, at a school. Mate, he showed up. I never introduce ambassadors as Mitch Marsh, Australian captain, or Nico Hines, because, you know, that they don't like that, as you'd know. No. You don't like that. And,
if you're there for the right reasons, you don't need that.
And the kids don't need it either. They know who it is anyway. So he's sitting up the back. I said, boys, a mate of mine, Marshy, he's one of my mates from Perth. If you play a bit of cricket, you might know him. Anyway, he loves his work. He's going to sit in up the back. And anyway, this champion boy gets up, little fella, halfway through, and Marshy's listening intently. And this kid goes, I get bullied for how I look and how I talk. I often get beaten up here at school, shit thrown at me all the time. He looks around the room and he goes, you know, a lot of blokes in here flog the shit out of me all the time. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I can't control that. I've learnt that. And I looked up at Marshy, and Marshy's just tearing up. And this kid goes, I can't control what they do. He goes, but I can control what I do. He said, so I always use my manners. I'm respectful because it makes me feel good. He said, I always dress as best as I can because it makes me feel good. He said, I train hard in the mornings because, again, makes me feel good. And he said, always make sure I'm eating good tucker because that makes me feel good.
There you go.
And I looked up at Marshy and he's just bawling his eyes out. And that gave an opportunity for another fella to talk. And this fella got up and he said, hey, boys, Wal, and he mentioned this kid. He said, mate, I'm so grateful you just said what you said. He said, I haven't experienced that, but he said only a few months ago I tried to take my own life. And the room went completely silent.
How old are we talking?
Mate, they were 15-year-old boys. There was girls in the room as well. And he started talking about his brother who'd taken his own life. He was talking about a mother who had drug addiction, this and that. And then he gave us on this incredible journey on how he went to take his own life one night, but he thought, you know what? I can't do this. I can't do this to my family. And he said he went and laid in bed with his mum for like 8 hours, and he said they just cried. And they both had this moment where they just talked and they sort of healed, he said, together. And the boys got around, the girls got around this fella, gave him a huge hug. And then it was the end, and they were all standing around the bottom, and Marshy's up the top on his own. And I just said, hey, look, very rare that you get the Australian captain in the room. Let's get a photo together. And Marshy walked past me and gave me these eyes of like, mate, I've got to say something before.
You do.
We do that. And he walked over this kid in front of everyone. He just said, mate, I've seen some of the great leaders in Australian cricket, played under him. And he looked at this kid, he goes, mate, I've never seen leadership like I just saw then.
Wow.
And gave this kid a hug. And I said to this kid, mate, you'll watch Marshy hit sixes and do all the things he does amazing on the cricket field, and you'll love that. But what you'll love more is the man that you just saw then, this beautiful, humble fella who saw the beauty in you. And that's the beauty with Find Your Feet and our ambassadors, mate, that they're able to, be their own selves and their own men.
Well, in your 2C then, you had Kai Hurst as well with Binger. Ironman, champion bloke, another one who's joined the join the family, the Find Your Feet family?
Hirsty's been a best friend of mine since year 10. Mate, he showed up to year 10 sports management at PBC on the Goldie, and I said to him, mate, what are you doing here? Well, you don't need to be at this. Let's wag for the afternoon. So we took off home, and we did that and went surfing or something, went back to school the next day, and the sports management teacher was like, Herschell, you weren't here yesterday. I said, yeah, I wasn't. But what about me new mate? He goes, nah, he was here. Anyway, Hirsty and I always joke about that, but Hirsty was a bloke who said to me years ago, like, mate, you're going around, you're working for others, go and do your own thing. And mate, he kicked me in the arse.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of fella he is. Kai's got his own story. He's had a lot of loss in his life, a lot of trauma early on.
Yeah.
When he was 14, 15, 16. He
it
lost
overcame
one of his
that.
coaches. Yeah, he lost his father. And then at 17, goes on and becomes the youngest ever to win the Uncle Toby's. But what you find with that fella is a man who's, mate, oh, yeah. He's just a beautiful, beautiful fella. He's one of those mates that I got that I can sit on the beach at Moreton Bay. We go camping and, mate, we might drink 4 or 5 cans and say 3 or 4 words. And
They're the best mates.
And you just go, mate,
They're the best
I
mates.
bloody love you.
I love them.
Yeah. So, mate, Find Your Feet wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those people, on that screen.
Oh, it's fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
this is your photo 3A, and it's only there's no B, C, or D.
Yeah.
Because this is you, and could you imagine that you, 10 years ago, would be doing this in front of a classroom? Well, you were because you're a school teacher, but your message this time is a lot different.
Yeah, mate, I feel like a bit of a wanker putting that one up there, but I sort of had to. I wanted to because it's a big thing with someone like myself in the sense that I don't have much self-worth still. I still feel like I'm not worth much and I still don't have this value. And one thing I work really hard, I still see my counsellor fortnightly or every 3 weeks is this bullshit talk in my head of,
So still.
Yeah,
even though like,
out.
so it's good. It's important for people to know that, even though you've got a charity that people are all talking about. The man who came up with the idea and the concept still has his demons.
Yeah.
And you've still got that's still an exercise.
Yeah.
To fight them demons.
Well, mate, we're all still finding our feet. And we find our feet one week and then we don't find them the next.
Bloody oath.
And if we can find them one week and learn a way to deal with it, so, anxiety and struggle with that, and then we get a mate who goes, mate, I suffer from anxiety, and what I do is I get up 5 o'clock, I go to the gym, I then have a couple with a few mates. That helps me. The next week when that fella loses his feet again and he thinks, shit,
Yep.
I'll go and do what MG does, and I'll go to the gym and have a coffee. He works out a way
Yep.
to deal with that. But yeah, the photo, man, the reason I guess I threw it in is, mate, I still have trouble sending invoices. When people go, how much is this worth? I go, look, let's just do it. Let's just get the job done. And again, it's because of that. But I'm really proud of that fella there, I guess that Tommy, because for a long time, mate, I sat on my hands and I didn't take any risks. I didn't have a crack. I sat back and I went, I'm not capable of this. I'm not capable of that. And mate, yeah, like, to be able to stand in front of a room, and that was with Piggy Riddell's and Crossy's NRLW team, the Dragons.
Okay.
And they were beautiful, There was a question I think I threw just in around here. I genuinely can remember it. And it was, who in the team holds you accountable? And to see a group of women get up and talk about, what they love about this person and why they find that important, it's raw,
it's cathartic,
it's honest.
man. It's cathartic.
Yeah.
It's just, this didn't happen back in the day when we were kids.
Yeah.
All this bullying and stuff, and now with social media, the way that people can get to other people is just scary.
Yeah.
If someone didn't like me, he'd tell me and say, "I'll meet you after school."
Yeah.
And we're going to punch the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
But
and then it's done.
And it's done.
Yeah,
but these days, it's man, the way that people can eat away at someone's psyche and eat away just by saying something demeaning on social media. It's scary, Tommy.
Mate, it is. And if you give them a platform, so like in that photo, I'm up the front, I'm sort of like got the Edward Scissorhands on, and, I've seen this moment and felt this moment in hundreds of workshops, an example of that bully being able to stand up and own stuff. And last week, and this kid wasn't a bully last week, but an awesome story of out in beautiful Orange, central New South, which I bloody love the scrubbers in the bush,
awesome
mate.
out there, Group 10.
Yeah, like you walk in, mate, every kid shakes your hand. G'day, I'm Clancy from Gilgander. I'm bloody Will from Warren. And, mate, this legend gets up halfway through it and he goes, look, he goes, and he was a bigger fella. He goes, look, I don't have many mates, and he goes, I know I'm annoying, and I want to be able to own that, and I'm sorry, boys, if I'm annoying. And the boys are all looking ahead. He's up the back of the room, and then he says out of nowhere, my dad died when I was in year 1. And all the boys turn around like that.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, they hear his story.
Yep.
He tells it. They get to empathise with him. They get to understand him.
No one knew that before he got up and spoke.
No one knew. And he said, boys, that's why I think I'm annoying and I think I'm that way. And I'm really sorry. And he goes, and then I got diagnosed neurodivergent, and that's been really good because I can now own why I behave this way. And he goes, I'm medicated and I talk to people. So in front of these boys, like who were the popular lads and holding that level, that standard, he's just growing. And he eventually comes and stands out the front. And I said to him, mate, if there was one bloke that you could be more like in this group, like who would it be? And he looks around the room and I'll say the kid's name. He's a legend. He goes, Jocko. And Jock's this little fellow. He's a ripper, top bloke. Like, mate, I always get in trouble because I'll be in a year 9, year 10 group in the bush and I'll go, mate, I'd love to have a beer with a bloke like you. And the teacher's out the back going, mate, year 9, year 10, you can't have a beer with them. But they're just good blokes. You know when you meet a good bloke?
Oh, mate. And, yes, I do know it. And it's contagious.
It's a beautiful moment.
It's contagious.
And I said, and I said, what do you love about Jocko? And he just goes, mate, he's confident. He's strong. He uses humour a lot, which I really like. And as he's saying that, there's a teacher next to me, and as he's saying that, Jock just gets up out of his chair in front of 80 boys and all of the boys, the whole cohort, and walks over to this fella. And he's still talking, and Jock just puts his arms out and wraps them around him and just has this moment and holds him for a good 20, 30 seconds, which tells this kid that he's allowed to talk like that.
Changing lives, brother.
Yeah, it tells him the risk that he took was okay, but it also tells all the other kids in the room that they're allowed to do that.
It's okay.
Yeah, Legend got up after that, mate. He was dancing up and down the stage talking about, at one stage in my life I was struggling with this, and then I got over that, but then I was back here, and he waltzed down the aisle, and I said, brother, do you do drama? And he goes, yeah, I love drama. And at the start, he was up the back like this, by that stage. He was dancing on the stage, and I said, boys, what do you rate about this bloke? 10 blokes stand up. I love how confident he is. I love the respect he's shown. I love that he's open. So you're sort of in front of them. They're doing all the work. I always say, mate, I talk with them, not to them.
Yeah.
Because they're your subject. They're your content. And they've got all the stories are so powerful, mate. But, yeah, I never imagined that I'd take the step to do the work, but I'm so grateful, mate, that I do.
Well, a bit like this podcast where your photos are the content.
Yeah.
Yeah, photo number 4 is a man who was much maligned. Fantastic rugby league player. But if we take the man away from rugby league, he's got an amazing story to tell. And that man is Nico Hines. Tell me why Nico's in this photo and who's he with and what's it mean to Tommy?
Mate, Nico, I'd count Nico as a best friend, a mate, a brother. I love him. Like when we finish a conversation, it's I love you, mate. It's not I love you.
Yep.
I love you, mate.
I've got a couple of mates I say the same thing to.
Yeah. Mate, I'll quite often have workshops and he knows where they are, what time I'll show up. He's already there setting up chairs. There's been threats of media coming to certain places and you'll go, mate, I don't want to do it if there's going to be media. I go, mate, I understand that. But mate, I listened to him on Face to Face on Matt Johns' show years ago, and before COVID, when he was on there, and sitting at home, and my stepdad said, you got to ring this fella, you got to get through to him somehow, get him involved with Find Your Feet. And I'm obviously watching it the next day, so I sent him a thing on Instagram, and made within 3 minutes he writes back said, Tommy, I'd love to be involved. What can I do? Let me know. COVID hit literally like the next week. And for 3 years, I never got to meet him. I was living back up in Queensland. He was down here. Mate, I'd send him a request to send a video through to a kid who was battling, struggling. Mate, he'd do it. Just not a 2-minute video, a 5 or 6 minute video. Nico and I spent a lot of time up at Juvie up the road here. And, mate, I was there yesterday and one of the boys said, Tommy, I want to let you know one of the best things about this program is you not only come once or twice, but I've seen you and Nico to show up and hang around, have a feed, have a cuppa and talk to us. And, and that's what Nico does. It's so beautiful. Mate, this is a moment, a moment where it just says so much about the fella. I've seen so many in workshops where he stood up and said things to kids, but this legend next to him is a champion called Jimmy Bowles, who made Jimmy lost his sister Holly Bowles in Laos with the methanol poisoning, and Jimmy's old man Sean reached out to me, champion bloke, one night, said, mate, I'm doing my thing, I'm doing my best. He said, but I'm worried about my boy. I want you to meet up with him and have a yarn. And mate, I want to call Jimmy. Like, we'd have these conversations, and they were hard. They were spaced out. They were, he was shy, and mate, Cronulla were awesome this year. They put on a mental fitness round. So Sean and James flew up. Jimmy flew up for it, and we're out on the field. And Nico had already, he'd sent Jimmy some messages and things like that. But it was after the game, mate. They'd just beaten Melbourne, which was awesome, and we're in the rooms. I'd just done a workshop that week with the Cronulla boys. We're in the rooms, and James was next to me. They just sing up Cronulla and another song that they sing, and Jimmy looks at me and he goes, Tommy, I've got to go and meet him. And I was like, mate, just give him a minute, to get his stuff. And Jimmy looks at me like with all the pain and all the hurt, but also Jimmy's living this legacy like for his sister. You can just see this beautiful energy in this kid. And he looked through me, he looked like, mate, I'm not waiting for you. I'm not waiting for Nico. I'm not waiting for the room.
I need it.
And I need it. And mate, there's 3 photos that I got, but this is this beautiful one. He walks over. He pushed past Cam McInnes, pushed him past, and walked over to Nico, and he put his hand behind him. And Nico had never seen a photo of Jimmy. He'd only ever spoken to him on the phone, and turned around, and Nico just looks at him. I'll never forget it. I was just over their shoulder, and he looks at him and he just goes, mate, how are you?
Oh, wow.
And Jimmy doesn't say a word. He just wraps his arms around him and just holds him. Well, the attitude Nico's got and the man he is, mate. We were at a fancy school up the way here, mate, only a couple of weeks ago. And a young fella got up, young Indigenous fella from Walgett, and he talked about his old man. And he was on a scholarship at this school, and he talked about his old man battling just to pay for the extracurricular activities, but he spoke about his old man had been hard done by on a few things and lost family, and then he just broke down in tears, and mate, he talked about culture and what it means to him, and he said, I've got this opportunity to live this life, and I'm going to do it for my dad, and mate, the whole room was in tears. I said, boys, if you love what this young bloke's doing, get up and get around him and give him a hug, and the whole room got up. And Nico stayed on his own over there. The whole room got up and hugged him. And then when everyone went to sit, Nico got up and walked over to him and didn't say anything out loud, just leant down, put his hands on this kid's shoulders, leant into his ear. And I don't know what he said. And I said to the room after it, we don't need to know what Nico said. But as he did that, he then gave him a huge hug. And when he was walking away, he turned around and he just goes, mate, promise me that. And this kid was like, looking at his hero. And the thing I love about that, mate, is I love that kids want to be Nico Hines in the backyard. They want to pass the ball like him, and they want to kick. They want to do all that sort of thing. But I think it's way more important that those kids that saw Nico that day also know that not only can we play the game like him, but we can be honest and talk like him and be vulnerable. Mate, the same, like I said,
he's going to have an amazing life post rugby league. You can tell.
Yeah,
he's going to touch so many kids by his voice because of the love he's got for he's so genuine, Tommy.
Yeah.
Those that know him know how genuine. Like my young bloke Mav said, Dad, everyone loves Nico Hines.
Yeah.
Like he's, the media give him a hard time more than his fellow comrades.
Yeah, mate, he's so honest and real. Like the other day, he rang me and he said, how you going, mate? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. Yep. And he goes, yeah, right. Good. Okay. And we started talking now, and then 10 minutes later, I fell into a heap, mate. Bloody crying, and I was hurt, and I was under the whip, and I texted him back and I said, mate, I lied to you. I'm sorry. I'm not that good. I know I'll be right, though. I need to see my counsellor.
Yep.
I need to run. I need to swim.
Yep.
And my mate Murph, I need to catch up with my mate Murph because Murph kicks my ass.
Yep.
And he's honest with me. And, mate, he wrote back about an hour later. He said, sorry, mate, I've been at training. He said, but don't ever lie to me again.
Yep.
He said, I love you.
Yep.
He said, but don't lie to me because it misses out on an opportunity for me to be authentic
100%.
And be real. And he said, maybe I'm able to help you. And that's the sort of fella he is, mate. I've had conversations with him about, like, family and my wife and stuff. And the next day he'll ring me and go, how's everything with your wife? And I'll go, yeah, good, why? And he'll go, 8:30 yesterday morning we were having that conversation. And you mentioned, I go, mate, you're a bloody legend.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
mate, we were up at Umina the other day, the Bunnies.
Oh,
We did a workshop up there.
that's where he's from, isn't he? Yeah,
he's an Umina boy.
Yeah,
he went over the dark side and played for. He went and played for Woy Woy. Such a good town. You named it twice.
Yeah, what was I, 94 up there at Umina, and won the comp with him, but that's another podcast for another day. Tommy, we get to your final photo, buddy, and the first photo you showed us was probably of your, especially your daughter, when she probably wouldn't want to know who you were at that stage because of what you're going through. But this is the metamorphosis. This is the whole 360. Here you are, biggest smiles on your face, in the water. You can't see a more loving photo. Tell us all about it, brother.
Yeah, mate, it's a big photo, that one. I mean, have a look at her. She's the most beautiful human in the world. And, again, I mentioned my boy and my darling wife at the start of the man I was. But I think, mate, what I love most about this photo is, mate, I didn't have a dad growing up. He moved a long way away, and it was very sporadic when I saw him. And home life was pretty different. And for the first 8-9 years of her life, and my little boy as well, but for her life, she didn't have a role model of a dad. And I think it's so important for us men, to be good men. And mate, I haven't been the best man that I could be. And like I said, mate, I've never jumped a fence. I've never done anything like that.
No, but you're transparent.
But
and that's a good quality.
Yeah, mate, I'm emotionally abusive, I'd say. You don't know all the victim stuff and just not being there for them when they needed me to be there. That wounded child in me played out in front of them. And I've got a great mate, Craig Tuffin, and he always says, your kids should never have to parent their parents. And my kids did for a very, very long time. And to see this, I guess what I love and what's most special about this photo, mate, is, just the relationship we've got now, the friendship. She's just she spends a lot of time, I think.
She's your best mate.
Yeah, she's just like I said before, you give her $5 and you knock her out the door, and she'd come back.
She'd come back with half the world.
Yeah, and just
So she gives you a pep in your step.
Yeah. What she does is she, mate, I feel really proud that I'm her friend, and I'm probably, she's a really good lady. She doesn't suffer fools. And my stepbrother lives in Norway now, and I'll never forget when he left, he said, we're having a few rums one night, Queenslanders were on the cane cutters cordial.
Oh, yeah.
The old sugar cane champagne, the old marriage counsellor syrup, the brown infuriator, we call it up home. There's plenty of words. But he said to me, he goes, mate, brother, promise me. He's been gone 20 years over there. He said, promise me 2 things. He said, never suffer fools, and always bet on race 7, number 7. And I love race 7, number 7, but I love that one, never suffer fools. And I did suffer fools for a long time, MG, because I was a people pleaser.
Yep.
I didn't set boundaries because I didn't value myself. Sorry, mate. I didn't value myself. I was. I spent a lot of time with people that enabled me to be a mug, and now I spend a lot of time with people that I'm really proud to introduce my daughter to.
Tell us what this, as we finish your 5th photo, what would be your last sentence of the 5 photos to say to this photo? What would be your message?
Mate, the message would be, I wish it didn't take me the first 10 years of her beautiful life to pull my head in and own my shit.
Well, you've owned your shit, brother.
Yeah.
You've owned your shit because this is it.
Yeah.
You found your feet.
Mate, I love that.
And you're still finding your feet.
Yeah, still finding feet. Mate, I had a kid the other week, grade 6, up home, and he was in a workshop, and he said, hey, Tommy, I got one for you. He said, one day or day one? And I said, what do you mean
That's
by
awesome.
that, mate?
That's so good.
And he goes, well, you're going to do this one day,
Or day
is
one.
today going to be day one of doing this? Grade 6.
Oh,
So,
well,
yeah.
mate, you know what? We're educating them better because of Find Your Feet, because of Got You for Life, because of guys like you and Gussie Llewellyn who are giving a damn.
Yeah.
Now for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Give me 5. We go through 5 things. Basically, your favourite things, Tommy.
That.
We start with what your favourite band and song are.
Mate, I'm going to throw this one at you, and this has not been a mug, I promise, but I played this song once for Bing Pringle, and we locked the windows and we locked the doors. But it was John Williamson and I'm Gonna Die in Queensland. And we played it driving from Moree out to beautiful, where were we going up to? Out to Cunham, somewhere out to Scrub. And, yeah, mate, but I love John Williamson. Nothing better than sitting out in the bush, having a pig's ear, listening to John Williamson. Yeah, mate, and I'm gonna die in Queensland.
He's your favourite artist, Johnny Williamson, is he?
Mate, favourite artist is changing a fair bit. Brad Cox. I love my country music.
Yes.
Mate, 3 notes and a whole lot of honesty, as they say. That's all country music is. Mate, but I listen to a lot of the same music, but a lot of different music. Mate,
you call that eclectic?
Yeah. Lots of country, but mate, my stepdad would sit us around at home, and you know, as a young fella, he'd open a bottle of Tilly Devine, and you'd be sitting there drinking that and listening to Miles Davis.
Yes,
Kind of Blue. You'd be listening to Dave Brubeck, Take 5, so jazz. You know, then we'd go straight into, who else? Billie Holiday.
Yep.
You know, all the old stuff, Ella Fitzgerald, and then, you know, my brother would come in the room and he'd play something from, you know, that he was into that I'd bloody turn my head at. But, yeah, music's always been a big part, mate, of my life.
Me too.
Yeah.
Have you got an all-time favourite movie?
Yeah. Again, there's a few. Toy Soldiers is one of the greats.
Toy Soldiers.
Good Will Hunting. I love Good Will Hunting, mate. Probably, geez, I'm going no good with this.
Nah, that's all right, mate.
Good Will Hunting because
not the first to knock it.
I love, I love that line. Robin Williams uses with Matt Damon, where he says it's not your fault. And you know, as corny as it may sound, like for a long time, I blame myself for shit going on in other people's lives. My oldies, probably most importantly, those. Yep. And when you see that line, you know, it's this beautiful breakthrough. And that's what I had with Bing. You know, there's no bullshit. Oi, mate, it's not your shit. But also, it's a beautiful thing you can say to a mate, or a thing I take away from workshops now that my counsellors taught me is, hey, mate, it's selfish to attach yourself to their stuff. That's their stuff. You know,
find your own feet.
Yeah, that's their
Find your own niche. You
can be there for them. You can help them, but don't take that away to make you feel better or to make you feel sad or down. You can empathise, which I think is a really, really good thing. You know, it's not your fault. And, yeah, mate, I love that.
What about everything on streaming these days? You know, you've got thousands of shows you can watch. Have you got a favourite in the last...
favourite show? Maybe
from your childhood or recently?
Geez, favourite show. What's one of the favourite show? The kids got into that. I'm awful with names, remembering the stuff. What's the one with the 2 gay dads in the street?
Oh, Modern Family.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, Phil Dunphy.
Phil, like, he's a ripper. But the 2 dads, and the big dad's a legend. I love that bloke.
And he got engaged the other day. He's like, everyone thought he was gay in real life. He was such a good actor.
No way.
He got engaged to a woman. Absolute
legend. I love that show. Mate, then I get stuck big time on my sporting shows.
Docos and stuff. Yeah.
Mate, there's one, I won't be able to remember maybe it's called Turning Point. There's a guy called Trey Turner. It's on KO. It's only a 25-minute. You'd absolutely love it. Filmed in Philadelphia, number 7. He was a batter for the Dodgers, I think.
Yep.
Philly bought him for heaps of money, millions and millions. He goes there, he couldn't hit a ball. And then one day this dude gets on his phone and he's like, hey, Philadelphia, why don't we get behind Trey Turner? Instead of when he comes out and we boo him,
get on it.
Let's get behind him. And they get behind him and he comes out and he hits a homer. He goes on to hit 15 homers in a row.
Wow, see, positive
Trey
thinking.
Turner. So that sort of stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah, baseball, mate. I get lost in baseball.
I love it.
Yeah. Which leads us into that.
I'm saying that rugby league's your favourite sport.
Yeah,
is it? What's second and third?
Mate, I love my league. But my second, it would be, and it sounds odd, but baseball. for some reason, mate, I watch baseball and I get more lost than a bloke who's had 15 schooners in a cane paddock. I'm on another planet. I'm listening to.
It's so
take me out of the ballpark.
It's intricate, isn't it?
Innings.
It's intricate.
You're looking at who's in the bullpen.
Yeah.
The bullpen and come up to pitch next. My stepdad taught me, and he goes, baseball's not about batting and the action. Baseball's about the pitcher and mate, so yeah, I love that. I love playing golf with my young bloke, mate. I love surfing.
Yep,
surfing's a huge one for me, and running's been something, mate, that I've fallen in love
with.
Anything
that gets the endorphins going.
Yeah,
basically.
That's it, mate. And not boxing. I tried boxing once, mate, and all I remember is the white towel going over and my mother crying.
Tommy, no more box.
Mate, I boxed about as good as I've got shoulders. So.
Mate, well, we found out you just had some pretty unique characters in your photos. Who would be the most famous person in your phone contacts?
Jeez, mate, we talked about this.
And that's not Mark Levy.
Yeah, it's not Levy. I can't mention Leaves. Mate, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because famous, what do you consider famous? But oh, mate.
Well, Nico Hines is famous.
Marshy,
Mitch Marsh is famous.
Yeah, Nico, Marshy.
Kai Hurst is famous.
Hursty.
Wow.
Mate, there's 100. Sean Marsh.
Yeah.
Sean Marsh is one of my best friends. Sean and I got a different relationship to Mitch and I. Sean and I can have a conversation on the phone where Sean will go into the depths of his head and heart and how he's going. And I can do exactly the same thing.
Well, let me ask you another question then, because this is 5B. You've done something wrong. You're in the slammer. You're in Long Bay. What's your death row meal? What are you having last? What are you eating? Because I know you're writing your oysters. So
yeah.
And what are you washing down?
Sex rockets, where I'm from.
Mate, when I was 17, I used to go to Panthers when I was 17 and have 3 dozen of them.
Well, I've knocked 3 dozen this week. I've told you.
I did pole vault myself.
Yeah. I was telling one of the girls at work, and she said, "You better tell your missus before you get home. She'll be bloody climbing around the ceiling hiding from you."
I've had 2 dozen oysters.
Yeah, 3 are the best. Treat myself like an amusement park. Mate, I reckon my old lady's lasagna. It's a ripper. I've tried to do this white sauce that she accumulates, mate. It's that.
And it's how they. The length of time they let the cheese cook for on top.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
The mums know.
Mate, a good Sexton Blake, a good steak. You can't go past
What's your sauce? You having sauce with it? Chips, salad?
Mate, mate. I've been just running just a straight raw dog the steak, mate, with more marble in it than one of these big homes you see out your way.
You haven't rare?
No. Cook them up, but raw dog, as in no veggies.
Just steak and chips.
Yeah,
and what, Diane sauce over it or something?
Yeah. Whoever Diane is, God bless her. Mate, I always say to my old man, he's a funny, my stepdad, he's a funny bastard. I said, mate, he's always into me. I said, mate, the butcher reckons if the cows are eating good enough grass, you don't need to have veggies with your meal. And he goes, "You are a fuckwit." That's his number one line.
I like that, but I like that.
Yeah.
I tell my kids that. They'll go, "Thanks, Dad." Tommy Herschell, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Find your feet. You've been awesome. Thanks for coming in today, because this has been your life in 5, brother.
Mate, appreciate it. Look at that.
There you, Tommy.
Wow.
It's
awesome.
all yours, buddy.
Mate, I appreciate that.
Go on, you mate, and keep up the good fight.
Yeah.
And if you want to get in touch with Tommy, just go find your feet on Instagram.
Yep.
And if you're feeling down or blue, or if you're feeling happy, he's your man.
Yeah, mate. And again, thanks to everything you've done, all the your years in radio and talking with Gussie and what he's done it's given an opportunity for others to go and do the same. So yeah, I'm very, very appreciative, mate, of those who have become before us and still doing what we're doing. He's a legend.
Yeah, Tommy.
So appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.